my goodness. I absolutely love that tune. Golly, I tell you. So I know we're going live a little early. So welcome to everybody. Welcome to Girl. Listen, we're going live because we got an alert about a storm. And so fingers are crossed that the power stays on. You know, we've got the mobile Wi-Fi next to us just in case. We're going to make this work. So I thought, you know what? Let me go ahead and get into it just in case Mother Nature says we're going to cut this show a little short, right? So thank you for tuning in. I am Gwendolyn R. Houston Jack. People call me G. People call me G. And we are streaming this to YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. This is that place where I talk about the things that people sometimes don't want to talk about, right? Today, I'm going to share my story because I'm talking about the self. And this came about because a few months ago, someone was asking me, like, how did you get to the place of where you are today? And it's so easy to say, oh, I did this, I did that. It's so easy to say that, but it's more than that. It's more than that. So I want to welcome everybody in. Let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. If you want to share exactly where you're tuning in from, Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube, you can share that too. This is about self-transformation. And so if you are have gone through a self-transformation, I would love to hear it in the comments, would love to get your thoughts on it. But I started off with, how do I say I've made the change without saying I've made the change? For me, it starts with your name. There is power in the name. I'm going to go with that first, right? And I'm talking about recognizing the power in your name. Now, I will say this. I had no plans to share this to LinkedIn. I really did, because typically my Girl Listen topics, they're about relationships and money and setting boundaries for yourself, just all those things. And then I thought, you know what? It's a very good chance somebody out there may find and hear this message and it may resonate with them. So why not use all of the social media platforms available to me and share this message? So shout out to Spencer. That's my road dog, man. Spencer, God bless you. We're going to have to do a show together because you have a lot of knowledge in the world of things. You've helped me, especially on the computer side. So we definitely have to bring you on one of these days to share your expertise with the people. They need to hear it. So this is a 3-part series because there's never just one way to talk about the self or yourself. So today it starts with the day Gwen died. Yeah, I killed her. I have no problem saying that. I killed her. And I'm going to kill her every single time it comes up. But there are 2 other parts to this. Next week, I want to talk about that nude is more than naked. And years ago, I did a blog series where I opened up my closet of well-organized skeletons and took my time in sharing those skeletons with other people. And I know a lot of us keep the things that we believe could bring us down, could bring us shame, things we're not proud of. We keep them locked away. Yeah, I shared all of mine. And it was one of those blog series where you really didn't think anybody would ever listen to what you're saying. And the response was amazing. So I want to talk about how nude is more than being naked. It is bearing your soul, not only to others, but also for yourself, like coming to grips with it for you. And then lastly, the last one will be loving the skin I'm in. Right? Being your best love, which is a consistent daily journey. But let me get started. Let me get into it because I'm going to take just a few minutes of your time today. I would like to keep it to 30 minutes because I had a beautiful morning, and I'm still like loving the energy from this morning into the afternoon. And so I'm running all my thoughts down. But I definitely like the message I picked up this morning flows into what I'm talking about today, which is self. Like, who are you? Right? Like, who are you? So let me tell you about Gwen real quick. And sometimes I say she is and she was, because recently when my father was ill, there was a moment where she popped up, and it was all of a moment. And I remember calling Spencer to say, "Oh my goodness, I don't even know what to say or do right now." So there are moments when she kind of comes around, but Gwen, she was straight and narrow, straight A student, didn't break the rules, followed all the rules. The few times that she tried to break them, it didn't work in her favor. Like, it was that lesson that you should never do that again. She was a people pleaser, you know? She was the person who would never say no to people. She would show up for everybody else's event, support them any way possible. She was doing all the things, doing everything for everybody else. Everybody else. In some ways, she tried to buy love. Okay, we're not gonna lie. She did. There was a point in time where she was buying the love. I don't even recall how much money was spent. I'd rather not go back down that pathway. But there was a lot of money spent. The if you love me, you'll do the blah, 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 right? And that was buying shoes and clothes and books and CDs. It was that. It was that kind of relationship. And I'll talk more about that. Was she picked on? Yes, she was. She was bullied. And not bullied just like people in school, because she was smart. She was smart, but she was bullied for everything she wasn't. She wasn't popular. She wasn't pretty. She wasn't black enough. She had all the things that happened, right? And it's one thing when it's school kids doing it, but when it's your family members who create this pain for you, it can be a bit much. It can be a bit much. And so you're operating in a space of, now I'm from the South. You respect your elders, you don't talk back, but you do realize and you recognize the hurt that they are bringing to you, right? Like that hurt is there. So there was definitely the being picked on for all the things that she wasn't. And you can't help but remember it because you hear it every single day. Now, funny enough, despite being picked on for being too smart, I was voted most intelligent and most likely to succeed. So clearly it was respected. It just wasn't something that people like to celebrate. There were attempts though. There were attempts of her trying to use her voice. I do recall being titled as militant and negative for being that kid who just didn't go with the status quo. I didn't believe in doing things that were fake and phony. I didn't get it. I didn't understand the point of being around people that I didn't like and didn't like me. I didn't understand being in those circles. And so I would call that out. And they're like, "Oh my God, you're so negative." And you're just, like I said, I was that kid. I mean, I had some friends who were around me, but so there was a lot of there was a lack of self-confidence. Like, if you're from the 90s and if you remember Buns of Steel, what was her name? Tammy something? Yeah, I bought that whole collection. I bought the whole collection because I wasn't black enough. I didn't have enough boobs, didn't have enough hips, didn't have enough curves. I didn't have enough anything. And so we figured, let's get some of these workout videos and work our way into this body that I'm supposed to have according to all the people who were telling me everything that I'm not. You're too thin, you're too skinny. Yeah, I remember Buns of Steel. I might have a copy somewhere, who knows? But we were focused on all the things that we were not, because it's what you hear every day, right? And when you're hearing all of these messages every single day, you start to believe it. You start to believe that this is who you are, and you put yourself in this box and you don't really try to break out of it. But something inside of me said, you've got to break out. You have to get out of this place, right? So when I graduated, I moved to New York City. I'm coming from Houston, Texas, moving to New York City. Golly, you talk about a big city to like an even bigger city. And I must say, it was the best thing I could have ever done. Something is like there was this voice inside that just kept saying, you've got to break free. And I do remember my English teacher telling me, when you leave this city, do not come back. I remember it. And she was like, do not come back here. And I thought, what's the problem? Yeah. She knew what she was talking about. Miss Van Langenham, Miss Van for short, she knew what she was talking about. I got to New York City and it changed my life in so many ways that I couldn't take it all in the first time. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm the kid who gets to New York and decided to drink the water. And let me just make sure I make this clear. So my parents, being the first child to leave the nest, right? Like leave the nest as in get out of the house and go away, because I'm the second. It was a bit much for them. I remember my parents fussing over the number of shoes I was going to take to school. And so I didn't get it then, but I get it now as an adult that was not about the shoes. It was about, oh my goodness, we're going through this change with our baby girl, right? So I'm in New York City. We go up for orientation. We drove to New York City in the Dodge van, right? Because back in the day, we did the road trip thing. Drove to New York City. We get in there. And so I'm like on campus doing the, here's dorm life. And the parents are doing their thing. And I remember them telling me that they did this tour. And they're like, yes, we're in the Greenwich Village, because I went to NYU. And it's so safe. And as they say the word safe, this guy comes running. He gets tackled by the cops and they proceed to like arrest him and everything. And they're like, that doesn't happen very often. This is a really safe neighborhood. My dad's like, seriously? Like this is going down right here? So, but it's New York. What can I tell you? So yeah. Hey, shout out to Hainer. Hello. So yeah, New York City. So we get there and we drink the water. Now, I had heard rumors about the water. So if it's, okay, I can't tell you that it's not true because clearly it was true for me. I ended up in the hospital. I ended up with some jacked up virus from drinking the water. Ended up in the hospital. They called my parents and there's nothing like your baby being in a hospital and you're not there, right? That's not what you want. So New York they chewed me up, spit me out. I did it again though, because the city was calling me. It was calling me. And I remember all these people living a life that was so carefree, right? Hair was all over, dress was whatever. They were just, as far as I can tell, living their authentic selves. Like they were in it. And I thought, golly, I wish I could do that. I want to do that so bad. I desired to be that person. I desired to just be able to walk out of my dorm room or wherever I was and just be me. I wanted it so bad. I could taste it. And I thought, oh my God, how do I do that? And then I thought, wait a minute, Gwendolyn, these are choices, baby girl. These are choices. You can choose to do whatever you want to do. So recognize that I was out of my circle. Out of my normal circle, Southern living, where you don't go outside with rollers in your hair and you don't do this and you don't do that and all these rules that were forced upon me as a child. Now, I love my daddy and my mama, so I'm not even gonna, but they were forced upon me, right? And I get it. You have to raise your kids where you raise your kids. So I remember coming back home and I just felt different. Didn't feel like I belonged there. I was not feeling myself. And so I remember going into the next year of college and 9/11 happened and everything changed, right? Now, I believe the closer you are to an event, the bigger impact it has on you, right? So it was close. Save for that. It was close. And so for 2 weeks, the city was in mourning, right? We were looking for loved ones and friends and classmates and trying to figure out how do you move forward after an event such as that. And so I do recall going to class, September 25th. I went to class that day. And there was hair on my head that day. There was hair there. Hello. Shout out to my siblings, my sister there. There was hair on my head that day. And so I walked down the street, 7th Avenue and 23rd. There's this hair salon, and I just said, chop it off. Cut it off. And she was like, how low do you want to go? I was like, well, go as low as you can. Like, do whatever. But I want this to go away. I want Gwen to go away. Because my mind had already started shifting. The emotional transformation had already started shifting. And so I needed a physical change to let everybody know I'm not that person you used to know. I'm not that kid anymore. That chick is gone. So I went back to class and they were like, didn't you have some hair this morning? I was like, I sure did. And it is gone. It's all gone. I'm more than happy to let go of it. And so we started this new journey of rediscovering myself. And for me, I sometimes feel a physical transformation needs to happen to let people know that they are not talking to or dealing with the person that they knew from way back when. They're not. And it was in that year of 2001 that we started using Gwendolyn. It was like, my name is Gwendolyn. Nice to meet you. My name is Gwendolyn. My name is Gwendolyn. My name is Gwendolyn, but you can call me G. My name is Gwendolyn. Right? And I said it so many times. People were like, do you not know who you are? I know exactly who I am. But I needed this to say, I am cutting off the lack of self-confidence. I am cutting off the being bullied. I am cutting off not setting boundaries. I am cutting off not living my authentic self. I am cutting off, let's just say that I got to a point where I had zero fudge to give. I'm going to keep this PG. Zero. That's where I went to. And when I tell you the journey, which is still happening, is beautiful. It is beautiful. I found my voice. And when I started talking, I couldn't shut up. Now I'm going to go ahead and give you a look into next week because I'm burying my soul next week. I'm burying my soul. But I'm going to go ahead and share it now that when I wrote that blog post, plural, about nude is more than just being naked. One of the blog posts I shared was that I have a speech impediment. I stutter. There it is. And because I didn't feel comfortable using my voice and I was picked on for being a person who stuttered, I was silent for so many years. So many years, I just stayed in the shell, knowing I wanted to scream, shout. I had so many things I wanted to say, but I didn't know how to say them. I didn't know how to get those words out. And there are people who helped me get there. Like I want to think about my my third grade teacher, Mrs. Graff. She said, Gwendolyn, slow down, take your time, breathe. And I was like, oh my God. But if you're a person who has any kind of speech impediment, reading impediment, any kind of disability, you understand that sometimes the littlest things can become the biggest things. I recall, and I don't know if my sister remembers this as I get into it. My dad would force me to order pizza sometimes, right? And there's nothing worse than getting a phone call and not being able to get the words out. So I would practice pizza, pepperoni pizza, pepperoni pizza, pepperoni pizza, so that I would be ready to say it. There's nothing like being in classroom where they do the whole reading thing and it's your turn to read. So you practice your paragraph so that you're ready. And then they decide to switch it up on you. And you're like, great. Now I got to learn a whole new paragraph in the next few moments. It's terrifying. It is terrifying. But I started doing things to become a better speaker. I remember taking a speech communication class one summer, and the doctor there said, hey, take every opportunity you can to speak, and you'll be a better speaker. So I took jobs that made me speak. I did all the things that made me speak. Doing this YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn Live because it makes me speak. And I don't mind sharing it. Right? That is a skeleton in my closet. Has nothing on me. So when I start to reintroduce myself, it is, yes, my name is Gwendolyn, but you may call me G. And may is giving someone the blessing to call you outside of your name. I remember talking to Les Mandenbaum of Umbra, and he said, however someone introduces themselves to you, tells you how they want to be spoken to, how they want to be acknowledged. If you say your name is Gwendolyn, then I'm going to say, hello, Gwendolyn. It should not be, hey, Gwen. It's like, that's not my name. And when people approach me and say, Gwen, it's like, Gwendolyn, yes, how can I help you? I'm going to correct you. There is power in my name. Trust me, just amazing power in my name. If I may say so myself, Gwendolyn is badass. You know what I'm saying? She gets up every morning. She looks good from the moment she wakes up. Yes, recognize it, right? This is Gwendolyn. Now, I would be a liar if I told you that this happened overnight. It didn't. That first day of walking without what was, I guess, a mask, maybe some sort of shield, right? Because a lot of us see our hair as our strength. A lot of us do, right? But I think about Samson. I don't need my hair to be just as strong and just as powerful as I was beforehand. I don't hide behind that. Not saying that some do, but I understand that hair can be one of the ways that we identify, one of the ways that we see ourselves. I mean, I'm due for a haircut, but I like to go as bald as I can. But it was a journey. Because the moment I cut my hair and I go back to good old Texas where, guys are like, are you into women or are you into men? And I was like, well, I'm not into ignorance, so you don't have to worry about me at all. It's good. It was a job. And I remember writing down in I never published it. It's called the Hair Chronicles. Never published it. But all of my thoughts that came about from doing this physical transformation as I was still growing into who I am and how I define myself and how I define what's being beautiful. Oh, Lord, man, emotion overload. So let me just say this. As a coach, I recognize when there is a place where a therapist is good to have, right? A lot of us like to turn to our friends, and I think it's great to have friends who like to listen to you. I think it's a beautiful thing. They're not therapists. Pardon me there. They're not therapists. So, when you're ready to do the work and really turn over those rocks and acknowledge why you do what you do and just own all of your BS, because you have to own it. You do have to own a good chunk of what it is. A therapist can help you get through all of that. That's what they're there for. So am I committed to the journey? I am. I'm committed to this journey of continuing to be the best version of myself. I am not the person I was 2 years ago. As a matter of fact, those who were close to me like to say that I'm softer since my husband came into my life. And I do like how he compliments me. He is definitely far more level-headed than I am. I love him dearly for that. But we work out each other. Some of my bad habits have rubbed off on him. But the journey of self-transformation is not a one and done. That takes time. So when I think about the topics I want to talk about next week as I bring this to a close. There is a place where you have to look in the mirror and acknowledge who you're looking at. Now, I know exactly who I'm looking at. I'm fully aware that Gwendolyn is nurturing, she's caring, she's giving, she is a cheerleader. If you need something, anything I can do to be there for you, I am going to show up. I have put many miles on both of my cars to do that for people, for my family, for my friends. I am that person. I am also the same person who will, when pushed, sort of teeter on the not so kind with words. I can teeter over there. I may cuss you out. It's a very good chance. But I will still cook for you immediately afterwards and love you dearly. Right? Like I'm aware of the pretty parts of me and the very ugly parts of me. I recognize that chick because we are multifaceted. We are. When people say, "Oh my God, gee, you're so nice," I don't consider myself to be a nice person. I don't. It's not. That word doesn't really go there. I never consciously or purposely seek to hurt people. I don't do that. But I am aware that for some people, it's a very good chance I may be the villain in their story. I understand that. That I do. So this is not like everything is beautiful and sunshine and rosy. No, this is, we need to get real with it. So next week, I want to talk about nude is more than just being naked, because people think of nude and they think taking off your clothes and everything. But when you stop and realize the amount of confidence and trust and work that goes into sharing what you may see as your deepest, darkest secrets and put it out there for the world. I hate that my blog is no longer around. It was done through Pop Sugar, and Pop Sugar took down their blog community a few years back. And so, those articles, I don't think you can find them on the internet. I don't think so. I do remember my very first one, though. The very first one was a picture of my left breast biopsy. Just a little side shot of my biopsy. And the title was like, now I can't pose for Playboy, because that's the first thing an 18-year-old thinks of when she gets like a biopsy is, now I can't be nude. Now I can't go topless. Wow, the thoughts of a teenager. But we'll talk more about that next week because what can I tell you? That's where my head went. I was like, now how am I supposed to do anything here? Forget the fact that, there was a scare or a possibility or a thought that there could be breast cancer. It was like, no, this is about the physical self. And there's nothing that attacks a woman's being feminine and just being seen as a woman than breast cancer. So that is next week. Before I let us go, if there are any questions or comments, or you yourself are going through a self-transformation, you're working on being the best version of yourself, I invite you to share your comments right here, right now. The rain is like coming down behind me. I can hear it. The thunder's not so bad. So far, we still have our internet service. I'm happy about that because that always concerns me when it gets really, really bad outside. It's going to be going on for a few hours. But we want the rain. We love the rain. The rain refuels us, right? Yes, love the rain. All right, so I want to thank everyone for tuning in now. And for those who will tune in later, thank you for sharing this time with me, these quick 30 minutes. Sincerely appreciate it. Again, next Friday, we'll be back. We're talking about bearing the soul and getting into those skeletons. Can you do it? Are you powerful enough to do it? Even for yourself? We'll find out. Enjoy your weekend.